How's it going, everyone? Alex with Jeeps Limited here. So welcome back to another episode of working on my YJ restoration project I'm working on. In the last video, I got the fenders installed, the grill installed, and that's kind of where we left off. Since then, I've started kind of putting things back where they go under the hood, just simple stuff that I had laying around. A couple of things I'm going to be working on in this video. I got to put the entire braking system back in, with the exception of the lines and the rear brakes. I did those a long time ago, and the line is just stubbed up forward. I'm reusing the old brake booster. Got a new brake master cylinder. I've got to run all new lines in the front, and I'm going to be putting on all new pads, rotors, and calipers on the front. There's currently nothing installed there. A couple other things I'm going to try and get tackled. I ordered a new radiator and radiator hoses. I'm getting a new power steering box and power steering lines, and a new steering shaft, and just a couple other odds and ends that I'm going to be installing in this video. So this is going to get us really close, actually, I think, to being able to start the motor, which probably won't happen in this video. Maybe it will, or maybe, hopefully, the next video at the latest. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, after spending entirely too long trying to get these bolts through here that hold on the bracket that holds on the brake booster, there's a plate on the other side of it that actually also holds up the steering wheel. It just was all candy-wampus in there. And then there's a gasket that goes between this and the firewall. The old one was just all ripped up and torn and whatnot, so I just got some general gasket material. Made a little gasket to put in there. And then, I don't know if it's easier to, I'm assuming this is easier to put on without the booster in the way, just because there's more room. So that's the way we're going to do it. Whether it be the correct way or not. Likely not. I got new hardware for it and everything, too, so. I'm generous and put a little bit of AMCs on those just because. And I don't really intend on driving this in conditions where I'm really worried about rust. Not really a winter vehicle anymore. Not really an off-road vehicle anymore, but really AMCs isn't hurt anybody. Like it's gonna be all over the car. But if you cover the entire car 100% in AMCs, it shouldn't rust. The trick really here is probably going to be trying to get those things tight, because the nut on her bolt, technically, on the other side, is probably going to spin around forever. I'm going to try and figure out how to hold both ends of it to tighten most likely. But, get it off, which means I might get it back on. Thankfully, all held on that side. So either you're just going to come loose the first time I drive it, the brake's going to fall off, or they'll be good forever. One of the two. Make sure we put a little rubber boot back in there. There, I did a little picture to see how that was supposed to be oriented in there. I did take a lot of pictures when I took it apart. The reason why I'm reusing this is because it's got some dirt stain on it, but it worked just fine before. Inside of it looks pretty clean, so and again, if I have to replace this at some point in the future, it's really not that big of a deal. This is probably the thing that's going to get stuck in the brake. Here we go. If I need to replace this down the road, if it fails or isn't working right, I'd rather just put it in now, move on, and be done with it. Then, maybe only $100 for a new one or something, but $100 here, $100 there, it starts to turn into a lot, especially for stuff that again might not really need to be replaced. Something like this brake booster, I never replaced it. I'm guessing it's never been replaced. I don't think anybody else did. The vehicle only had like 115 or 117,000 miles on it when I bought it, and it currently only has, I think, under 130. So a lot of stuff is physically old. The car's going to be 30 years old, but mileage-wise, it's really not that bad mileage, especially for a Jeep. It always seems like they tend to have more miles on them. There's another reason why, I'm not really doing, probably should have cleaned up the motor, but again, I can just do it in time. I'll probably dig into it a little bit. It's had a leaking valve cover gasket about the car. That's why I didn't really feel the need to tear it apart even in the motor, because it doesn't have any miles on it. I got these rubber things just to protect the fenders. This is just a sheet of random rubber I've had laying around for a while. It was packing material from something. And then the other rubber, just like a kitchen drawer liner. I got it at Ace. It's $10 for a 4-foot roll. Covers the fenders nicely. Keeps them from getting all scratched up. I need a wrench for these. Of course, it was not finger tight, but it was too tight for my finger, and then you put the red. I just cut that out. I think I just had a stroke. In fact, not the correct size, I think. I did test it one before. It is. Takes apart too tight. The vacuum line on, so. There's definitely something on here wrong because it's up above the hood line. I probably have the bracket that was a huge pain in the ass to get on, probably upside down. Go ahead and undo all of that. Spend all that extra time and money, and it still doesn't reach very well. The vacuum line probably needs to be replaced. That's probably stuff that I'll go through and do. I mean, the heater core lines I'm just going to replace right now because they look like crap. Do that before I start it. The radiator lines I'm redoing. Like stuff like this vacuum line, I can just go do that at pretty much any time. If it runs with that one, then I can just replace that later when I'm bored. Alright, I did get a new master cylinder. The old one, just the reservoir was full of crud, and I figured why bother reinstall a nasty one. And now I might have to take this out and bench bleed it. I'm just really not sure. If I do, I don't know if that's the right, that bolt works there. It came with new hardware, we're just not going to use it because I don't think it's the right size. Back to Old Faithful there. I might have to take it out to bench bleed it. Those bolts will work. If I have to take it out to bench bleed it, I will. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to probably try not to, but I've never replaced a master cylinder, so I don't really know even what that process entails. So anyways, if I have to pull it out to bench bleed it, I will. But in the meantime, I at least wanted to get it installed. That way I can figure out how I want to do the brake lines and everything. Get everything plumbed in and done. And then I could go ahead and pull it out and bleed it if I need to. And then reinstall it. the new bolts do work, or nuts do work. The master cylinder here is just what AutoZone had laying around. It's, you know, whatever branded. It's probably like a Duralast brand or something. The front brakes, so the front rotors, pads, and calipers are power stop. I got some Crown Automotive brake lines, I guess. That I don't even know when I bought those. I just had them. The backs, they're drums, so really I just went and ordered a drum brake kit off of Amazon probably. I put those in when I did the axle. So those have been ready to go for a while, and I did those brake lines a while ago too. You know, I did everything under the body that I could without the body on there just to make it easier. Like I said, that brake line is just right up above the front, under the firewall basically, with a fitting on it. That should be easy enough to connect to. Okay, that is on. Next, these have like a little box that sits here that the brake lines connect into, just to help distribute the fluid, I guess. I gotta look at some old pictures, see how it's just two lines that come out of here and go into there, I believe. I've got some brake lines laying around from a kit that I bought that I pretty much just threw the whole thing away because it sucked. But I don't know if I have lines to do that with. I might just have to go make some. I got to get brake lines to run the front anyway, so that's probably what we're going to be doing next. I'm probably just going to go ahead and hook up the brake pedal too while I'm right here before I forget, so stay tuned. Okay, so this little piece, again, I don't even know what exactly it's called. But what it does is it basically redirects the fluid and distributes it to the lines. It hangs somewhere about here, and what was on there before was just a couple of pieces. They came out off and just offset right back down into it. These pieces here are what I had that I thought might go here. They don't. They don't even thread in. Those might come off the bottom actually before they go to the other lines. I don't know. I bought a full brake line kit from a company online, and it came with, you know, supposedly everything you need, but it was so unrecognizable the way that the pieces were bent to be shipped, and they're like, oh, that's by design, you can straighten them out, whatever. So unrecognizable, and they were not labeled. I threw pretty much the whole thing away. The only brake line I used is the brake line on the rear axle that just goes from one side to the other. It's the only one I was able to identify. For brake lines to the back, rather than using that one, I just went and bent up a piece, and I got a tool to bend nice, sharp 90s in the brake lines. And then everything for the front I threw away except for this piece, and these two pieces, and one other piece that I think goes from this just down to this corner. I'm not even sure. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. So yeah, these I don't know. I'm just going to get like 6 or 8 inch lines or something to just bend these. And then, like I said, I got to make all the other lines anyways. So what I'm going to do, I obviously have to go to the store. I'm going to throw the front sets of brakes on next, just to make sure that they work and I don't need anything from the store. That way I don't have to keep going to the store. So I'm going to go ahead, get the tire off of this and start putting the brakes on the axles. Not scratch the crap out of anything over here. Let me crack this up. There's a whole lot of room here. It would appear that my garage wasn't really designed for working on vehicles like this. I'll just focus. Easier without. I do not believe these are even remotely tight. For anybody wondering, these are really just rollers, and will be getting replaced. Everything here's a nice hue of red. cobwebs too. It's been sitting around a while. This axle's been on here for probably 2 years. We'll clean that up a little bit. I'm gonna give this an oil treatment. Good old glass cleaner. It obviously didn't really cover much under the car up when I was painting, but the overspray on most of the stuff is just actually dust, and you can just blow it and it comes off. There, it's there already. I am a little concerned looking at these brake rotors. Let me zoom you guys in a little bit more. Too much. Perfect. They're awfully large, but I don't know what they're supposed to look like. See, I was worried that these were too deep, but it doesn't look like they are. Oh. Looks like they would fit. Leaders on the top. I think that's where they're supposed to be. I'll put some pads in these. Okay, got the pads in there. See, the thing about me and doing brakes is I feel like every time I do brakes on any vehicle, I never remember how they're supposed to go. I'm not a big brake expert. This pin needs to be moved in. Or out, or whatever direction that is, other than where it was currently at. Just going to put this on and make sure I know how to even put it on, and I'll grease these and probably Loctite the threads and grease the shafts so they don't squeak. I think we're supposed to put grease on. Go. Look at a wrench. Okay. Alrighty. So part of what I'm trying to do here is I need to do, before I go get brake lines too, I want to figure out where I'm running the flexible lines, get that figured out, and then go just buy all the brake stuff I need, and the rest of the stuff that I need all in one shot. Kind of my goal here. Alright, so here's where we're at as of right now. The brake lines I got are just some steel braided from Quadratech. I'm assuming they're for a lift. I have to assume I would have bought that. Neither the caliper nor the lines came with the bolt to bolt the line to the caliper, which is super convenient. Thanks to everybody involved there. So I really can't do much with that. Oh yeah, these are definitely long enough. I'll have to figure out how I want to route these, which might be something. Annoying. Whether I want to route them forward, backwards, Not too sure. Probably forwards. Since they're so fucking long, you know, I could mount it something like that. Let it rub on the ball joint a whole bunch. But anyways, can't do that because I don't have the bolts. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and lift up the other side, put the drum and rotor on, I'm going to go ahead and lift up the other side and put this stuff on while I'm here. Actually, I take that back. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to the store right now because I know that these fit. But I'd rather than putting it down, moving around, I can just go to the store, get what I need, get these bolts, and then get the brake lines that I'm going to need to be able to run this and just keep working my way this way. So actually, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the store. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back from AutoZone. They had almost none of what I needed, so that was good. They didn't have the banjo bolts for the calipers, so I had to order those. Should get those soon enough. Biggest problem I had is trying to find brake lines that match this stuff. This distribution box, or whatever exactly, proportioning valve, has standard size fittings, I believe they are. The new Brake Master has metric fittings, and nobody makes any pre-made lines that have those fittings. Plus, the metric fittings go into metric size brake lines, the standard go into standard size brake lines, which they're very close to the same size. They're off by a very small amount. So I think that'll be okay. But I had to buy double the amount of stuff here so that I could take, for instance, this 6mm, which threads there, cut it off over here, take this fitting off, take, I believe, this one here, which threads in over yonder. Yeah, take that fitting, put it on here, and then these just get bent basically in just this weird little, so it's going to have a 90, a 90, and a 90, and this just hangs right here. So that's no big deal, which I'll probably shorten this up too. And then throw away this other piece of line that does me no good, or save it for later, but it's probably still never going to do me any good. And then same thing with this other side, because naturally these two fittings aren't the same size, and these two fittings aren't the same size, because that would have been too easy. So I can take this one, which goes into there, this one, which should go in here. I literally just took the proportioning valve and the master cylinder into AutoZone and tried every single piece of brake line equipment that they have. Do the same thing, cut this off, bend them nicely, they're the same length, I should be able to match them, it'll look good, lop that off, throw that away, make a crack pipe out of it, whatever, no. Now I can do that, and then I can finish up the brake line from the back, which is actually this one. So actually I have to do the same thing, cut, again, different sizes, have to cut apart a pre-made line, put this fitting on, but that shouldn't be a big deal, so I can finish that up, and then these two go to the fronts. Since I didn't get the banjo bolts for the caliper lines, for the flexible lines, I'm just going to wait on doing anything with those and mounting them until I can put them on the caliper. So I'm just going to switch to this. And then when I'm done with this, the brown Santa came early and dropped off. I got a radiator, a starter, 1 out of 2 radiator hoses, power steering box, which does me no good because I wasn't expecting to get that for a couple of weeks and I didn't go get the bolts for it, but I got it, and a couple other things that I can start kind of putting on as well. But this is probably going to consume a bunch of time before it inevitably fails. So I'm going to start this now so that when it doesn't work, I can do something different with it. Alright, I ended up just turning the camera off there for a while because this just turned into a really big trial and error and head scratching. But I do have it in. I just ended up actually using a flexible line because there was too much going on to try and match this perfectly. And on top of that, these two holes are closer than these two holes, so they had to bend sideways. So this is just a flexible line that I bent up as nice as I could and was able to turn it that way. I only single flared everything because the flaring kit that I have apparently isn't for double flaring, or if it was, every little round piece to double flare it is missing, so I'm just going to have to get a flaring kit to double flare it. But at least now I can see that it's all in here. I don't know how in love with it I really am. It just doesn't really, nothing about it, you know, really seems correct. But if anything, it's mocked up. See, that line just doesn't matter how tight you make it. It doesn't tighten up in there. But this one is definitely not, this is like a 1/4 inch. This is 3/16. It's definitely not a 3/16, especially because, or a 1/4 inch, because I have the old piece that came off of there. I believe this is that side, and it's the same size line. Maybe once it's double flared, it will actually tighten up in there. I don't know. This side's tight. That side rattles a little bit, so we'll see. And I don't know if I'm actually even going to use this, but if anything else, it's mocked up in there at least, kind of hanging about where it's supposed to hang. So I could finish up the brake lines to the back, which is this one, to the back. I got stuff to do that. I can, once I have the banjo bolts, I can finish the calipers and everything and get those flexible lines mounted to the frame. I can run the front line and tie those in, tie the back in, and then maybe do some more research on this and see what, is really supposed to be going on here. I almost just want to reuse this, but if I were to reuse this, boy, it sure would work, wouldn't it? This fitting's okay. This fitting is frozen onto the line, so I'd have to spin it into the... I could, just for the heck of it. See, I don't know if I want to use it, though, because it's just old and nasty. A lot of what's going on here doesn't seem all that correct. I mean, it's a little wonky at this point, but if this fitting wasn't frozen on there, see, I'd have to spin this onto here, to take the other line off, spin it onto there. But doing this seems worse than what I built. Take a wrench and tighten that up, but now that's a little too long. I mean, but if I really wanted to, I could, but I don't like that any more than the piece I made. I guess the thing is, I really should see what the availability of these lines are. If I could just buy those, which is probably what I'm going to do. Maybe somebody has them pre-made. That's why that wouldn't work. Yes, that's not exactly, I think, what I want, but it works for right now until maybe I can come up with something better. I'm 75% happy with it. If this was me 10 years ago, just putting this together, I would have done that and been like, wow, great, looks perfect. But it's a little less than perfect. I mean, even these bent weird, I think. I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm gonna put down the brake stuff for a little while, maybe put in the radiator and the starter. Have some victories there, and then come back to this after doing a little bit more research. Alright, so the next thing we have on the list is a new starter. There was actually nothing wrong with the old starter until I went to take it off, and the little tab here that holds the exciter wire on just, as literally is disassembling this normally, just broke, so that's garbage. So now I have a new one. I probably wouldn't show a video of this, but it's probably not going to work out as I want it to, and I think that could make some interesting content. So I'm going to go ahead and make a video of me putting in a starter. Alright, I did my best here to give you guys the most up-close and personal view that I could get you. So here's the broken tab to that exciter wire, just still hanging there 3 or 4 years later. I don't know which bolt goes where. It feels like the bottom bolt. It is, it's way too short. This feels like the top bolt. Yeah, I just think those are opposite. seems better, but also just seems like it's not the right bolt, but it should be. These are in the starter sandwich bag. See here. Have to go find a 14mm socket. Okay. Come on. Really? Gonna go get a 15mm socket. That's better. Yep. That'll do. It's amazing to me that I can still hit things and knock dirt into my face. You'd think most of the dirt would be gone by now, but you would be wrong. Okay. Probably good enough. Now, didn't bring anything to get this off. Get something for that. I don't know how easily that's going to come off of there. It's really not. You know what? From up top, I'm probably going to go ahead and just cut this connector off and put a new one on there because the fucking connector is pretty bad anyways. So I'm going to jump up top. All right, we are back with a nice new end on there. There was nothing really exciting to report about that. All right, new starter is hooked up, so that's a pretty critical component in being able to start the vehicle. I got a couple of other little things I'm gonna clean up while I'm down here, but next we're gonna jump up and maybe put the radiator in or something. I don't know, we'll see. All right, so I took the upper radiator hose off so that I could, I got a new one anyways, but just get it out of the way to put the radiator in. However, the inside of the thermostat looks like that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the thermostat off and probably order a new one. I mean, I guess that's just probably just a bunch of crap that hardened in there, crystallized in there from it sitting, hopefully. Hopefully it's not anywhere else, but I'm just going to go ahead and pull the thermostat off and probably order a new one. Hopefully it's not all in the water jackets of the engine like that, but I guess we will see. All right, so the thermostat housing was full of crud, and then the thermostat itself is just completely shot. And inside the block, or the head there, is pretty rusty, but there's not really much you could do about that. The biggest problem here now is actually this bolt that goes into the head there broke off. That's just one of the bolts that holds the thermostat in. So it kind of snapped clean off. It was right there. So yeah, I'm going to have to try and get that out, which is going to suck. I don't really know what I'm going to do with that yet. I don't know if welding a nut on there is a good idea or what I want to do there yet. So I'm going to have to ponder that one for a while. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get a new thermostat and thermostat housing. So then figure out what to do with that. Maybe I'll just put a shitload of sealant on there and just call it good. If it leaks from the top, you know, it's no big deal. I don't know. Well, I'll have to figure out how to get that out. I'm probably not even going to bother put the radiator in just because I want to get that out. I want room right here to be able to do that, depending on what I decide I have to do. So I'm going to ponder that for a little while. All right, I would say I got lucky on that. It only took like 30 minutes, and I just heated the bolt and around the bolt with a torch, tapped it with a hammer a couple of times, and put the vice grips on it, and every time I heated it, I was able to maybe turn it like an eighth of a turn, maybe. I had to do that several times before it finally just kind of started spinning out, but that almost would have been pretty unfortunate, so I'm glad that that's out. Like I said, you can see how rusty it is in there. For all I know, and I'm just going to make the assumption that it's been rusty like that for a while, and I'm going to close my eyes and ignore it. I'll probably grab the vacuum and try and vacuum some of that shit out of there, and then I'm just going to go ahead. I got to get a new thermostat housing, and a temperature sensor. And then put that crap in. I'll probably throw the radiator in now just to get it bolted up now that I know that that bolt is out, but I wasn't sure if I was going to have to get a welder in here or not, so I didn't want to start putting things in the way. So probably go ahead and throw the radiator in. All right. My cool new radiator installed. You know, I probably should have expected the thermostat and whatnot to be full of crap since this was full of crap. But, I don't know why I would make that assumption. So today feels like one of those days while I feel like I've accomplished a decent amount. I haven't finished anything. Nothing's really worked out quite the way it was supposed to. I'm going to put anti-seize on all of those and make a big mess. Nothing's really just worked out the way it was supposed to, but that's also not really all that surprising. And while I feel like I didn't accomplish anything today, at least I did accomplish kind of figuring out what could be a potential problem or what is a problem and figure out what else I need to purchase to finish this stuff up. Like I said, it doesn't really feel like I got a lot done, but I mean, I got the starter in. That's complete. That's ready to go. I did a lot of actually just miscellaneous stuff that I didn't do on camera. Just a lot of buttoning up of loose ends. Got some vacuum lines put in place. Got some breathers installed. Got some stuff cleaned up. I mean, I feel like I made good progress on the brakes. I did end up putting the brake line that goes to the back. That one's kind of mocked up too. I don't know. It might be right in the way of the steering shaft. We'll find out. I haven't even gone back yet at this point and put the other set of brakes on the other side. But you know, I got one side kind of on. So there's definitely stuff getting accomplished. It just doesn't feel like a whole lot. This looks like it's supposed to have 6 bolts in it. I only took 3 out of it. So I'm only putting 3 back in it. Maybe at some point I'll put more in it. Like there's supposed to be a bracket here that goes to this hole. It's been gone. It came off years ago when we took the radiator out. Probably didn't get the AC condenser out. Because when I bought it, the AC didn't work. Rather than really fixing that, I just removed the condenser and put an electric fan in there, which I then proceeded to literally never use. I didn't need it. See, is there an easy way to put bolts in? I think so. This random box of assorted bolts are probably not the best of quality Chinesium, but for something like this, I would assume they would work just fine. Doesn't come with flat washers though. Put the lock washer on the wrong side. That's probably why this bolt wasn't in there. Alright, that is now bolted in better than it was before. It's got 2 extra bolts in it. It's actually only missing 1, so it only kind of moves. Can't put the radiator hoses on because I don't have the lower one, and the upper one I don't have a thermostat for it to go to. Don't know if I can fight the fan shroud around that or not. I hope so. We'll see. I don't know. I didn't put it on there because it's not clean. I have to go on eventually. And it just bolts to the face here, so I think it goes. I think you can get in around there. Maybe not. I really have no idea. We'll find out. Anyway, on to the next thing. Alright, I went ahead and did a little investigating on this fan shroud thing, and by investigating, I mean I tried to just shove it in there, and I accomplished 2 things. I just beat the shit out of the whole front of the radiator here. Well, that's the inside of the radiator, so it doesn't really matter. I also got the fan, or the shroud, stuck on the fan, in which I concluded that you have to take the fan off to put the shroud on anyways. Even if I had already put it on the radiator, you'd still have to take the fan off. When I took it off, I took the radiator and the grill off all at the same time, so it just came out this way. So that's why, whatever. So, to get it out, I took the fan off, and since I had the fan off, I figured I might as well just go ahead and put the shroud in at this time. I went ahead and cleaned it in my kitchen sink. Why not? Yeah. Isn't going to do this right now, but that was as good a time as any, really. Do something like that. I'm sure. I was just kind of waiting on the fan shroud because I figured, like, I don't know, it's just probably going to get in the way of doing a bunch of other stuff, which it probably will. But anyway, since I took the fan off, figure I might as well just put it on, put the fan back on. It would be a good time to clean the fan, but I'm not going to. Maybe I will. Probably not. Not really. Oh, I'll clean it a little bit. Call it good. Now this only had 2 bolts in it. That's just definitely not right. That's probably why it's not lining up. It only had 2 bolts in it, out of probably 4. Yeah, that fits a lot better. Grab some Chinese. Oh. These are probably like grade 1 bolts, but for a lot of this stuff, should be okay. Plus, I really don't ever intend on driving this car in any kind of situation where it could even potentially get muddy or dirty or wet. We'll source some washers from something. Alright, I got 2 washers that are almost the right size. Well, that one doesn't line up with anything, so I'd get a zip tie. The hole's not even close to anything. Yeah, that side's fine. Okay, well that's back on. Now putting the fan on is just going to be a bigger pain in the dick. Now I don't know. Yeah, I probably didn't need to take the fan off the clutch, but you know, I kind of thought if I just simply move the fan out of the way. See, now I think I have to put the clutch on and put the fan on for one thing. I'll be able to get them in there in one shot. But I don't think I'm doing anything unnecessary. I think I'm just doing it in a way that you know, probably didn't need to be done. Do not believe there's a specific orientation for the clutch. Oh, wait a minute. It's almost stupid. You do, in fact, have to at least put them in at the same time. I don't think they fit in. No. I'm going to bolt the fan back onto the clutch really quick. Alrighty. I guess the unnecessary step here was to take the fan off the clutch, but my thought when I did that was if I took the fan off the clutch, I would be able to get the shroud in there. Which I couldn't, so that was unnecessary, but really wasn't that much work. I mean, if you want to talk about unnecessary work, this whole car is unnecessary work. Okay. Need to spin the pulley up. It's gonna fall over and knock over my bolts. Maybe I've weeded out some problems today, at least, that would be causing me issue when I go to start the car or anything. I wasn't planning on putting a new distributor or anything on it, at least not right now, but then I was advised that it was having issues at one point So I figured I might as well just pull the cover off the distributor, and it is extremely rusty in there. So I have added a distributor to my list to just try and weed some problems out. I'm glad that I, caught that thermostat situation, because I think, man, I was gonna put the radiator hoses on just because they looked like they were dry rotting. So I was like, oh, I'll just replace those. Had I not done that, it probably wouldn't have flown any water, because that thermostat was completely packed with crystallized coolant. Maybe next time I do this, I'll just put the radiator on the grill before I put it in. Really great if the car was shorter. So one interesting thing, I guess through this process, I've made the Jeep about 3/4 of an inch taller than it was, and it might not fit out of my garage door. It already didn't fit with the hardtop on, and it only had like a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch with the top off. So really, it might not fit. I actually did some rough measuring a while back when I realized that, and my measurements concluded it won't fit. So we'll see. The reason for that is I had big lift shackles on here, and I took them off and put on a set of shackles that I got from my brother-in-law. He had an extra set laying around, and I thought they were stock height shackles. So then to make up for that loss of height, I put the 1-inch body lift on it, which would have only made it, I think they were inch lift shackles I took off. So that would have made it the same height that it was before, in theory. However, I came to find out after I put the body on that the shackles that he gave me were actually 3/4 inch lift. So now it should be 3/4 of an inch taller than it was before. So we will see. But that's a future me problem. Not much I can do about it right now. Let's spin that over again. If the height becomes a problem, I'll probably take the body lift off. I'm not like a huge fan of body lifts. Like I said, I just went with it, so it would be the same height that it was before. Well, okay, that's on. Neat. One less thing. Alright, so it has been a full day of wrenching. Like 8 or 10 hours worth of work I just did to accomplish not a whole lot, but we still did get a decent amount done. Got a good start on the braking system. Might have to readdress parts of that. Waiting on some parts for that. But we got a good start on that. I did take care of a lot of just miscellaneous stuff, like I said, getting wiring in place. I got a couple of breather lines installed, got some vacuum lines reinstalled. stuff like that. Did a lot of little odds and ends, just constantly just doing shit. Got the starter in, that's complete. Got the radiator in, took the fan off, put the shroud in, fucked up the radiator. That's pretty typical. Discovered a big problem with the thermostat. That was good to figure out, and then almost really fucked myself by breaking a bolt off in the head, but I got that off. Just a lot of little moving parts that were done today. I did get a lot of stuff cleaned up, actually. At there's a big pile of shit over there. The battery tray needs to be painted. I got that cleaned up. The coolant reservoir, I cleaned that out. The bracket that holds on the power steering box, I cleaned that so I can paint it. Bunch of other bracketry. Cleaned out the air box. I cleaned off the bracket that holds the air box. And just all kinds of little stuff. So that's going to be it for this episode. Maybe on the next episode you guys might actually see me accomplish something. I did say earlier maybe you're going to see it run in this video, in which obviously it's not any closer to doing that really than it was at the beginning of the video, but I didn't know how this video was going to pan out, and I just decided to make a video of a day of accomplishing almost nothing. So stay tuned in the next video. You'll probably see me accomplish slightly more, maybe not all that much, but we'll see. So I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.